Hi everybody, a video on spraying a bike frame. I know that's getting a bit boring because I did one the other day, but I had another one to do. But it's basically to talk about the the R160, the ANI R160, so the new replacement minigun for the ANI R150. Now I've got a few ANI R150s, as some of you may know. If you look back through the old videos, you'll see different things being sprayed with it, and you know, different like showing you what size, different tip sizes spray like, etc. So there's plenty of documented stuff about that. But this is the first time I've had the R160. I don't think they've been out that long. I did an unboxing video and just a spray pattern video, and it does spray slightly differently. It's got a slightly bigger pattern. It's got two more air holes in the air horn. So the 1.2 R150 has 2 in total in the air horns, 1 each side, and this has 4, 2 each side. So it does use a bit more air. It didn't seem to use loads more, to be fair, but it does seem to use a bit more air. And it does have a slightly wider fan pattern, if that's what you want. If you're doing some like slightly larger panels, sorry about the shot on my arm there. If you're doing some slightly larger panels, then you know the bigger fan may well be beneficial. To me, it's probably not, because I mainly do smaller stuff like this and motorcycle stuff and things like that. I don't do car stuff, although I do some bigger panels sometimes, but I've got a bigger gun for that anyway. So yeah, mainly I use miniguns. So I like to, you know, think to myself that when I get a new gun, I'd like to get to know how to use it. So this is the first time I've used this one straight out of the box, and I thought, well, I might as well stick the camera on my head and run for a review. So as I say, it's not really about spraying the frame, it's about the gun. So the big difference is that if you watch the other videos, you'll already know, but I just run through it on here. The fluid tip is a different spanner. You get the spanner with it, but it is a different spanner. So they're not interchangeable because they are actually physically different. The 160, it's just a slightly bigger head on it. There's a sealing ring behind the fluid tip that sometimes goes, you know, from undoing it to clean and put back on, etc. The washer on the tip gets squashed, and eventually it will leak air through, and you can get like bubbling through the pot and things. You just get a few bubbles come back through the pot. So you need to change those occasionally. Now, I was hoping that this one would have exactly the same idea, and it has got the same idea, but it's not the same seal, which is a pain really. So at the moment, I mean, I get my stuff from Sprayguns direct. I'm not sponsored by them or anything, but you know, they seem to give good service, a good price, especially on the ANI stuff, because not many people do it, I don't think. Made in Italy, so they must import it from Italy and send them out. So I'm presuming there'll be a service kit at some time, hopefully pretty soon, to sort that out, because the seal, the way the new seal is, it's not so prominent as the old one. So maybe it won't get squashed so much, but I'm sure you'll have to renew it. So hopefully they'll bring out a service kit that includes that, because it is different. Some of the other parts, I haven't taken the gun fully apart, but some of the other parts look interchangeable. But certainly that seal, I'm hoping a kit will come out. So whatever changes in the gun, the adjustment for the air pressure, which is on these guns, is just behind. You can basically get to it while you're holding the gun. You can get to it with your thumb. I don't know if you can see it there, but it's behind the pot at the top. That thing's sticking up there, if you could just see it. The camera angle gets better later. I realised it was slightly too high, so I put it down. This is the first coat of 3, because it's a base coat, a Mercedes base coat. But the adjustment lever is actually better, because it's more raised, so you've got it's easy to put your thumb on it and just adjust it, whereas the other one, really you needed 2 hands. You had one hand to hold the gun and the other one to grab the adjuster. So if you do like I do, sometimes you adjust the air pressure on the go. I've got the pressure coming in here at 2.5 bar, but it's not at 2.5 bar coming out the gun, because I've wound the gun down, if that makes sense. So it gives me up to 2.5 bar if I want it. But at a guess, I would say it's probably about 1.5 bar, and it seems to be spraying quite nicely at 1.5 bar, which is about, you guys in the States, about 23 psi, something like that. Somewhere along those lines. But you need to adjust it, obviously, for your setup and the finish you want, really. But it's easy to adjust anyway. So that's one good point. The pots are fully interchangeable, which you'd expect, really. What else? That's nothing really I can't think of. If I do, when I'm obviously narrating this afterwards, so if I think of something, I'll just bring it in and say it. So the finish of the gun, I was quite happy with it. It seems to give a good finish, as good as the R150. It's described as an improved version of the R150. Now, I would think the improvements are quite limited. One of the improvements I would think is that it wastes less material, not in the context of a cycle frame like this. Normally I would use a 0.6 or something like that rather than a 1.2, but as I say, I'd got the new gun and I thought, well, I might as well show you what it's like at putting a bit of base coat down. So it's not ideal, but it worked well. I just wound the fan down a bit. It's about half fan. And I don't mean half as in half wound in or out, I mean half as in the physical size of it. If you look to the bottom right, when the camera comes down to the table, the bottom right, you'll see a couple of some test sprays I was doing just to see what the adjustments were like on it, because I didn't know whether it's going to be the same as the old R150. So the pattern is a bit bigger, and I think you'll find that it will, like on a larger panel, it will use less material. On this, it actually used more, but that's only because it's too big a tip ready for the thin size of the material I'm doing. So I think it will use a bit less. So I'm thinking it's probably a HVLP tip, or more of a HVLP, HVLP, high volume, low pressure. I'm thinking that it's more of a HVLP tip than the original. It doesn't actually say on it; it just says HPS, which I presumed was some way of ANI, giving it a different name, but it's a similar idea. So that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking it's a HVLP minigun. So normally with that, you get a good finish. You get less material wasted. If most of it's going in the panel. With this, as I say, half of it's going into the atmosphere anyway. But on most situations, you would use less material with it. So yeah, I think it's probably an improvement as far as that goes, if that's what you want. For the guy at home, doing his bit of spraying, etc., it may not be so good in that it will use more air, so it'll put your compressor, if you've only got a small compressor set up, it will put that under more strain. But if you're not struggling for air, or you're not too worried about the need for air, then it won't make a difference to you, I wouldn't think. But yeah, it seems to be a really good gun. Whether it's an improvement or not, as I say, I would say it's probably about the same, which is good, because sometimes these things come out and they're a backward step. Having said that, if there's no service kit that comes out for it that addresses the couple of issues, one is that small ring at the back of the fluid tip, and the other one is they seem to find it necessary, which a lot of companies do, to put a sealing ring around the front of the air cap. Now, you never used to have that on the R150, and if you look at the unboxing video, I'll just show you that and go into that. As I say, you never used to have it, so why you need it on this one, I haven't got a clue. Maybe it's not as machined as well. It looks similar. The finish isn't as good, that's for sure. It's more of a brush than a polished finish. When you look at the gun on its own, you think, oh yeah, no, that looks quite nice. But when you compare it to the the 150, the R150, it looks as if they've skimped. They've maybe forgot to send it to the polisher, but you know, it is what it is, I guess. But at the end of the day, it's the results that matter rather than the look at a gun. Certainly that's what I think. But you know, if you're a bit of a tool head like me, you like your tools, and you think to yourself, well, you do like something to look quite nice as well. So this frame was originally in British racing green, and it's being turned into, I think they call it's a Mercedes colour, and it's called a Hell Mango. They use it on AMG Mercedes, and it's a really nice colour. It's a sort of a pearl metallic, so you've got to be reasonably carefully spraying this. Try and keep the distance the same, keep the flow the same, because you don't want any patches with it too heavy, because if it becomes too heavy, it just looks different. It looks either a bit more metallic or a bit lighter or whatever, and then when you take it out in the sun, you really notice it. So you do have to be careful with it. And I was going to play it safe and think, well, I'll use my SRI Pro Light, which is probably my favourite gun. Well, it is my favourite gun, to do both the base coat and the top coat on this, and just play it safe. And I thought, well, no, you've got the new gun, try it out. So this is exactly what I did, and it sprayed absolutely fine, and there was no real dramas. So again, with these, you get the 250 milliliter pot as standard. You can get a 500 milliliter pot, and you can get a 100 milliliter pot. Now that one you see it on there now is a 100 milliliter pot, about £9, which is about 13-14 US dollars, and they're well worth having, especially if you're buying a gun. It's worth putting a smaller pot if you're doing small stuff like this, and if you're doing bigger stuff, getting a bigger pot, because that's about the same, about £9. And it means that if you're using it for bigger stuff, you don't have to keep filling the pot. And if you're using it for smaller stuff like this, the pot doesn't keep hitting things, because it's a nightmare trying to get into these small spaces, all the way around, with a bigger pot, because it's just too big. And that's one of the main reasons really for a minigun, I think, is that you use it for getting into nooks and crannies, where a big gun is just, the gun and the pot is just too big. It's just overkill really, and you end up marking your work, because you end up hitting the frame with the pot, etc. So worth investing in one of those if you're going to buy one of these guns, getting a pot, because as I say, it is only cheap, and if you're buying it at the same time as the gun, the postage comes in with it, etc, etc. So just an idea, but certainly worth it from my point of view anyway. So we're just coming up to the end of the third coat, and as I say, it's more about the gun than anything else. Yeah, I mean, as I say, the only things I would say with this is that it's a shame that they've had to put a ceiling ring at the front of the air cap, because it's just something else to go wrong that wasn't there before. And why they needed to do it, I don't know, because the R150 works perfectly well, and it hasn't got one. So yeah, I seem to think that's a backward step. But if one of those is included in the service kit, and the service kit comes out reasonably soon, and is reasonably priced like the other one, about £8, something like that, then it'll be a fine successor to the R150, I think. But they need to address those couple of things really, in that you get those seals in the service kit, because otherwise it's going to be a much more expensive gun to look after than the R150, which a lot of people have got, and it is a really good gun. But if you can't get it, you can't get it. So it's as simple as that really. So just winding down, you'll be very pleased to hear there's only about a minute to go, of me rabbiting on. But I hope you've enjoyed the video. Just to say thank you to all the subscribers. I say all, I think I've got about 70, something like that, subscribers, but it is appreciated. When people subscribe, you think, oh well, maybe it's worth doing a few more videos for people to watch. And I've always got a lot out of YouTube, and I thought, well, maybe it's time to put a little bit back. So again, thanks for thanks for subscribing and watching, etc. It is appreciated. There's just some photos coming up at the end in a minute where you can, because you can get a better view in photos rather than a video, just to see how well it's covered, and it's covered reasonably well. No better, I don't think, than the 150. And the Pro Light for me normally covers a bit better, but you know, that may be just the way I use it. But here's the photos anyway. Thanks for watching, and take care everyone, and no doubt I'll make another video soon. Cheers, thanks very much, bye.